right. Well, I am really excited to be sitting here today with Zhiwei Li, and Zhiwei is a classmate of mine in the 4-year Feldenkrais practitioner training in Kelowna, Canada, that we have been doing. We're in the home stretch in our final year of training, and Zhiwei is also here in Colorado Springs, and she's collaborated with us earlier this year doing a workshop on using the Feldenkrais method to explore computer use, which was an interesting concept. And what I'm really excited about is that starting this month, Zhiwei is joining the Redbeard team in two ways. One is doing a group class every other week, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. We'll talk about that in a minute, doing a themed Feldenkrais awareness through movement class. And additionally, she's doing one-on-one work, private lessons for the awareness through movement lessons virtually online. So really exciting addition to the services that we offer here at Redbeard. So Joey, can we just talk a little bit about these two ways you're going to be working with folks?
Yeah. So starting from the group class, which is like an easy, accessible way, low cost for anyone to have a taste of Feldenkrais awareness through movement, or ATM in short. The coming first class would be the theme called Relaxed Jaw, Calm Mind. And as you can see, we might start with like a focus on some body part, and really it's about the movement of that body part. But then I like the jaw lesson because it's something that we're using every day, every moment, breathing, talking, and it's also accumulating so much tension and our habits around this movement. But then in the lesson, we'll really introduce some novel ways of using the jaw, and then see how that actually regulate your whole body state and your mind.
Yeah. I'm so excited for this upcoming lesson, which that'll be your first one, which is next week, Wednesday. I don't have the date in front of me. July, I don't know.
July 19th.
July 19th. So that'll be the first one, relaxed jaw, relaxed mind. And I love the theme because to me, jaw tension comes up so much in some of the other work that we do. In somatic experiencing, we work the jaw a lot. In TRE, tension and trauma release, people's jaws sometimes tremor and release. When we do body work, oftentimes as we release things in the body, it helps with things like TMJ and bruxism and things like that. So jaw issues are such a common source of tension patterns, just like having a tight neck. So many of us have tension in the jaw. And the idea of using the jaw as a gateway, that if you can bring some focused somatic attention to the jaw and slow things down and experience it in a new way, the idea that it then has a ripple effect, not just there, but an influence on the whole nervous system and body, to me is such a cool thing. So it's kind of like using the jaw as a gateway to the rest of the self.
Yeah. I'm curious for your audience in Redbeard, maybe they have experienced other way of interacting with the jaw, and really it's an entry point. We're not really laser focused on the jaw. You'll see how that actually connect with your whole breathing, how your facial tension feels like differently, and in the end, how you would be standing differently. It's really connecting to the whole body. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, what are some so for people who don't know a lot about what Feldenkrais method is? I mean, we've explained it a little bit. We don't have to get into the super basics, but like, what are some other, you're going to start with this lesson. What are some other kinds of things that you might be exploring in these lessons? What else are you thinking about?
Yeah. So specifically, we're doing awareness through movement, which is a self-directed movement exploration. So the key thing is really not movement. Of course, it will make your movement easier, like the jaw has less tension, it can move more freely, and your body can have more relaxed posture and all that. But the key is really awareness. So I see it as a way of cultivating awareness through very slow, gentle movement. In the class, I'll continuously say, can you do it with less effort, even less effort? So it's totally contradictory to many like exercise modalities people are used to, whereas more effort means I'm doing better work. Here, we're really training the awareness. We're allowing the brain to slow down so they can really assimilate more information, discover some blind spots. And that discovery can then hopefully bring into your daily life because we are moving all the time. Right now I'm talking, I'm discovering my shoulder tension and my tongue, right? So yeah.
Well, so if this first lesson, it's going to be kind of using the jaw and how it connects to the rest of the system. What are some other kinds
Sure.
of Feldenkrais lessons that you might do soon?
Yeah, I would say there are so many different styles of Feldenkrais lesson, like
Hmm.
jaw or eyes,
Hmm.
and your fingers. Those are some tiny movement that you might not really pay sufficient attention to.
Like
And
the
then it
bell
can be
hand.
some really, yeah. And then there are really big movement, like rolling around across the whole floor and like kind of happily rolling like a baby and
Hmm.
feel the fluidity and speed and power without effort.
Right.
Those are some big lessons and more active lessons. Um, yeah, it's all
Yeah,
different styles that I would like to introduce.
kind of the whole range. I mean, something that I think is interesting about Feldenkrais, there's some lessons where there's very little movement. It's more awareness oriented. Like I'm thinking about the cardinal lines lesson or the planes of or something where if somebody was watching, it's more like a body scan
Yeah,
or
we have
some
pure imagination lesson where
pure
you don't
imagination
move at
lessons.
all. Yeah.
Right. But then the other end of the spectrum are, like you say, more playful, bigger movements, rolling, standing, more dynamic sessions. And then there's, of course, many in between. And my appreciation for the method is that by exploring those ranges and everything in between, somehow it all adds up to a certain kind of learning about oneself and anatomically, but also just how we inhabit ourselves and function. So good. I'm glad you're going to be kind of covering sort of the whole gamut of things.
I can never cover the whole, but bring as much variety as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Well, okay, so that's for the every other week class, every other Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, about an hour. And usually it'd probably be about 40 to 50 minutes of the lesson and then 10, 15 minutes of kind of reflecting and sharing afterwards. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharing Q&A.
Question. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. And then let's talk a little bit about the one-on-one work, because I think that's going to be really exciting, is that you're making yourself available to do one-on-one awareness through movement lessons, over Zoom, which you've been doing a lot of recently. Uh, Explain a little bit about how you approach that sort of, kind of customizing for the person's goals, or
Yeah.
tell me about that format a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. So the one-on-one work was actually made me determined that I'm gonna transition into full-time Feldenkrais teacher, this kind of thing, rather than kind of halfway doing my old tech research job, halfway doing the somatic work.
Right.
Because for one, yeah, the thing about one-on-one is I really got to know a person, not only their goals, what their bodily discomfort is, but overall their state of, are they so busy every day that their brain is constantly working and the body can't keep up? Are they the
Hmm.
other end that their body is worked out and they cannot let their body rest? And like having this kind of fuller understanding of a person, then I
Hmm.
can really tailor like what lesson would be best for their state to learn. Because it's not, as I said, it's not about just get the movement going, able to do this pose or do that thing, but rather can you have the brain in a state of curiosity, a calmness, where
Hmm.
it's open to feel, open to sense, and feel safe to explore. So
Right.
that's the key thing, I think, as a one-on-one teacher. How do
Right.
I find the entry point for your brain to be
Totally.
really deep into this process?
Well, it seems also, correct me if I'm wrong, but that if you're new to the Feldenkrais method, there's some learning about like, kind of how to approach it. What does it mean to explore in a curious, useful way? It's almost like, if I understand it, part of the one-on-one container can be helping somebody almost learn how to get the most out of a Felden. And so then even if they did a
Yeah,
lesson with you or they did a
yeah.
lesson online, that somebody could kind of get up to speed around how to get the best results from using the method. Is that part of your intention as
Yeah,
well?
exactly, exactly. That's how I understand this. It's a in like a starting point for someone to really get into the Feldenkrais world because there are so many online like free YouTube ATM lessons you can
Right,
do, and something you get it, something you're like, what the heck? Why am I doing this on the floor for an hour? And what am I doing? I'm falling asleep. Like that
right,
was my learning experience at the beginning, maybe
right,
5 years ago when I started Feldenkrais. It's a hit and miss thing because I
right.
was still in my movement exercise mind. So I
I
think the
see.
biggest initial hurdle is how to get over that and really entering this awareness, learning, exploration mindset. And that's the most helpful for the initial private lessons because one thing would be everyone really have different learning speed. So if you're
Hmm.
following the public lessons a lot of time you yeah, you just don't feel you can match into that speed, then you're kind of lost. And my goal is to, after helping you to really understand yourself and how you modulate your attention, how to rest and all that, then you can really enjoy every class.
Yeah.
You don't need anymore.
Perfect. No, I love that idea of skill building because it really, really can increase somebody's enjoyment and effectiveness of the method. So that's a great concept. Super cool. Well, I think the other thing just to throw in is any of you watching this who also sometimes watch the longer podcasts we've been doing. It might take a few weeks, but Zhiwei is, we're going to do a longer conversation. She has an interesting life story in terms of her work as I forget, it's a cognitive neuroscientist or a
Oh, you got it this
computational.
time.
I got it this time, cognitive neuroscientist. But then this interest in the Feldenkrais method and somatic work. And so we're going to do a longer conversation just kind of about her journey with that. And we're also going to record a full length lesson to release through the podcast as well that Joey will teach. So anyway, that's the news for today. And Joey, thanks so much for jumping in with these two projects. I think that it's going to be really great.
Yeah, looking forward.